All right. Hi, guys. This is for the wood transfer. So you'll get all your kit and everything here from the extension office. And then you'll be making this wood transfer piece. I can either have you email me your picture and I can like reverse it or invert it for you, or you guys can do that at home. It's whatever works best for you. If you do it here, then it's in your kit already, and all you got to do is go home and start making it. So you will get a 5x7 piece of wood. It'll already be sanded, so you don't have to worry about that. You will have Mod Podge. You'll get a plate. You'll get it's a business card really, but it's for their little scraper to scrape all the bubbles out. And you'll get a brush in your kit. So this one is already sanded. This one's a little bit bigger than your 5x7 that you'll be getting. And then I selected a picture. What we're going to do, and I'm going to have to work upside down due to my recording. So I will do my best. So I'm going to take some of the Mod Podge and I'm going to start putting it on my picture on the front side. And I'm just going to stay on my picture. You might want to put some newspaper down or something like that when we go to this point at home. And you're going to just coat it really well here. Sorry if my video is a little long in certain spots. And this is just printed on regular printer paper. And your plate is for your Mod Podge. I didn't put it on my plate, but you can dump some of it on your plate so it's easier to get. And you'll just coat the picture. And just be careful, you might get it on your clothes. And then we're going to I'm going to do the edge here quick. And then you're going to take and you're going to put it on your board. You're going to center it where you like. And then just kind of pull it down. And then you're going to take your card. Sorry if it's not. And you're going to work those bubbles out on there. If you try not to get around the edge here, because you can always come back and you can paint it. Paint a border around your picture. On your 5x7 piece, you might not have a whole lot of space, but you can do fun things. You can make it look vintage. You can take a wood burner later and you can do little things on the side. So I do believe we've got all of the bubbles out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that dry. If you would like to speed up the process, you can do a hair dryer and get it so it's going to be faster for you. Otherwise, let it dry 8 to 12 hours. You just want all of the Mod Podge to be dry so we can do the next step. Okay, so it is dry now from what we just did before. Now what we're going to do is pretty much the same thing again. Again, you can use your plate. You're going to just take a little bit of that Mod Podge and you're going to put it on the back side here. So kind of you're going to do a two-stepper. Again, stay on the picture. So if you want to paint your outer edge, you can. And you're just going to want to go really good strokes down because however you put it on here is how it's going to dry. and kind of put enough down. Again, staying just on the picture. We can, if you go over the picture, we can wipe it off. You can wipe it off with just like a baby wipe or something like that. When we're done here, we'll kind of clean up our edges. But just nice long strokes and kind of be lenient with the Mod Podge. Again, working upside down, so it's a little different. And then what you're going to do as soon as you have this, you're going to, also you can hair dry it too, or if you have something to do for a couple hours till it's completely dry. You can use, the hair dryer just like takes a minute to do it. So we're going to let that dry and we will be back in just a second. Okay, so we have it all dry. I used a hair dryer. So it's all nice and dry. I didn't clean up my edges, but you could, I mean, when you go to apply the paint, if you want to paint around your picture, you might show just a little bit, but I didn't. So what I did is I got a damp rag. I did wring it out pretty well, but I did leave a little bit of water on it to help with the process here. And so we're just gonna kind of get it wet, damp it down. And then I do have a dry one as well. Get it wet. And then you're just gonna start getting the paper off. Don't rub too hard. I did just there. And you're gonna have all these little pieces come off. So you're just gonna want to get a clean part of your rag, and it just kind of peels off. Again, don't push too hard. So if you do it just right, you can kind of get it to roll a little bit. And you'll start to see the picture come through. right, so it's finished with taking that layer off. You can see here and down throughout a little bit here is where I pressed a little too hard or it got a little too wet. But I like that look. It kind of makes it look more antique-ish to me. But you can always redo it if it didn't turn out the way that you wanted. This particular Mod Podge is a matte, so it's going to have that kind of look to antique, old-fashioned. What we're going to do now is we're going to let, it's kind of still a little damp from wiping it down with our rag. So I'm going to let it dry just a little bit, and then I'm going to go back through and do Mod Podge again. So just give me 1 second. Okay, I just wanted to show you something quick, just so when you're at home doing this, if it happens to do it to you, it is okay. Do you see how mine kind of looks fuzzy, if you will? So when I hair dried it, what happened is that I didn't get all the paper off of it. So if you hair dry it and then just take your damp cloth and just take a section that's clean and just kind of lightly run down it and stuff, it'll pull all that extra paper off of it. So I just wanted to show you so you don't fret so much and go, oh my gosh, my picture. It's just because there isn't all the paper off of it, off that top layer. So I'm just gently taking it off. Okay, once you have it all off, then you just wipe it dry with that dry towel. And if you have pieces you don't like, just slowly work them out. It's just the paper. Don't push too hard. You'll start to see it. We'll start to see it kind of wear through some spots. Okay. So there's that. Then I'm going to take the Mod Podge and we're going to go over it again. Okay, so I did my Mod Podge layer on top of the picture after I got all the top layer of the paper off. And I'm just going to let that sit and dry. Again, you could try to use the hair dryer. I'm just going to see what it looks like without using the hair dryer this time. Again, this Mod Podge is a matte. Okay, so it isn't going to look glossy. It's going to look more antique-ish, more old Western, old style. I do have one that I'm going to do with the gloss, and I will show you that one as well. Okay, and there you have it. You can see a little bit, I think it has to do with some of the paper still on it. We didn't get it off as good as I could, but I didn't want to do it too hard because I didn't want a lot of chunks coming out of my picture. I'm going to do the one with the gloss as well, so just hang tight. Okay, so this is the one for the gloss Mod Podge, and I got my picture. This is my other daughter. It is reverted already. You don't have to use a colored picture. You can do black and white as well. It's whatever you want it to look like. Any picture. If you don't have a picture, you could always do some type of saying, something like that. Like if you want to do a welcome sign, it really doesn't matter. Options are endless. So this is the picture I chose. Again, we're going to take and put the first layer of the Mod Podge on. So, and I just rinsed out my brush from the other one that I did. So we're going to put it on top. And you're gonna wanna kind of do a decent coat like we did with the first one. Nothing's really changed. I don't think I got a lot on the first one. Just giving a nice coat. Again, putting newspaper underneath your picture is probably best. Or some type of like wax paper or something like that. To see, I make a mess too. Just and it's going to kind of have a little streakiness because of the ink. You'll see it when you start. Just make sure you get a good amount on there. And you should have plenty in your kit. If you don't want to use this stuff that we provide, you're more than welcome if your parents let you, go get some from Hobby Lobby. So I am going to put my picture face down in the spot I want. Okay. And then your card that's in your kit. You're going to work out all the bubbles. If you have a roller, if you do this for other things, a roller probably works better, but anything hard to get all the bubbles out. I work it both directions. So you just push down a little bit on it to get it flat. Okay, you're gonna have some excess on there, so just wipe it off the card. It's pretty flat. There's a little bubble. And it also might, depending upon your board, what your board feels like, try to get the smoothest side possible. And like I said, your board is going to be sanded already, so you won't have to worry about that. So this is all flat, worked out, and we're gonna let that dry. Again, you can use the hair dryer just like we did in the one with the matte finish. Okay, so we're back and it is dry. It is nice and smooth. If it still kind of feels sticky a little bit, you might want to give it a little bit longer to dry. Up here in the corner, maybe a little sticky, but for the most part, it is really smooth and dry. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take our wet cloth and we're going to rub off that top layer. Okay, so my rag is kind of damp. I mean, it's not sopping wet, but it is enough. You can go ahead and damp it down on there. You can hear how watery it is. Okay. And then just like we were doing before, don't push too hard. Okay, this one's a little bit wetter. I got this one a little bit wetter than the first one, but I like to roll it off of there. But you can go in a circular motion if it's best, like so. We're gonna have, just don't push hard. Just kind of lightly swirl it off of there. See, when you push hard, gets it too much. So that's why I kind of like the rolling. Just kind of roll them down. And I'm using the edge on my rag. See how they're rolling? I just like to do it that way. It's easier. I don't know if you guys can see it. Just roll it off there. Okay. So we got it off of there. And circular motion obviously works better. just FYI that it flakes it off better. And if you just, you get a clearer picture, I think. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry and then we will go over it with some more of the Mod Podge. And this one again is the gloss. And you will have both options in your goodie bag, your kit. Just kind of finishing it up here. I do like the gloss better than that matte finish. It's a crisper look. But it just depends on what you're going for. And like I said, you don't have to do a picture. You can do whatever your heart desires. Okay, so there's that. Let's go ahead and do a coat on top of it. I'm gonna quickly kind of just do my fine details. I have some more paper up in here. I'm just gonna quickly rub it off and I'll be right back. Okay, so it is smooth. I don't have any flakes happening. Again, yours is gonna, this one isn't as sanded as the ones that you have. So I do feel some coarseness to this. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do our top layer. And again, staying as good as we can on the pictures, long strokes, because how you put it down is how it's gonna dry. And then cleaning up your edges if you do go over, so you can have the option of painting it. The type of brush you have does soak up a good amount of the Mod Podge. So as I'm going, I'm just pushing down with my, to get the excess off of there. And my board's bigger than your guys's. You won't have a whole big border. And you can also do the picture and then add hearts and do the same process over. You can do lots of different things. You can add a date, you can add words. I could do I love my horses on top of this. It's so cool for how many options, how many things you can do with this. And it is pretty inexpensive. I think the Mod Podge at Hobby Lobby is like, okay, so this little one is $4.99. This big one is probably $7.99. But you can also use your 40% off if you go there and if you don't want what we give you, or you want to do another one. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry, or I think I'm gonna use the hair dryer and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I finished it. I did do cool heat. I did do cool air first, and then I finished it with a little bit of hot. But when you do it, you're gonna wanna, hold it up a distance so it doesn't, there's the gloss. And I did get a little bit carried away over here, but I'm okay with it. Okay, there's the gloss one. And then this one is the matte. So you can see there is a difference. And I could have probably worked to the bottom here. Okay, like I said, you can add words, the date. You could make, Father's Day is coming. You can make something for Daddy. Picture of you and him and say, I love Daddy on it. You could do anything you would like. Thanks. And I would love to see your guys's. So send me a picture via email. Here is my Okay, so my email address is jturner12 at unl.edu.